Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And I'm going to start off by saying, if you see this huge pile of clothes right here, just ignore it. Those are all the clothes that Aubrey and Maverick have grown out of the past few months. So I have them all right here, and I'm about to go through and decide what I need to post on Poshmark and what I just need to take to Goodwill or what I'm going to keep. But that's going to be a whole nother video because I'm going to be doing an office tour slash decluttering here in the next week or so. So if you're actually interested in that, just wait a couple weeks and check that out. Or if it's already posted by the time you're seeing this video, then I will make sure I'll link it below. I know I'm wearing the same shirt and clothes that I was wearing in my how I plan on losing the baby weight. Now that's because I'm doing 2 videos in one day because Aubrey's asleep right now, and she has actually started like cutting out her second naps of the day. So I need to start fitting in more videos in nap time, her first nap time. As of yesterday, I am 6 weeks postpartum and Maverick is 6 weeks old. And I think that is crazy. I feel like it was just yesterday that we had Maverick, and I know everybody says that, but it's true. Like, if you haven't yet had a baby, then you probably don't realize that. But when you do have your baby, it goes by super quick and you just need to appreciate every moment. I did just get done filming my how I plan on losing the baby weight, and I'm gonna go ahead and start off by telling you that I have been cleared by my doctor last Friday, that they cleared me to start working out and doing more heavy lifting and just basically doing whatever I want. She said just, you know, don't overdo it the first week, like the 7th week postpartum, but gradually start working out to lifting heavy like I used to. And I'm really excited about that. I miss the gym so much. I'm so excited to lose this weight and just start feeling better about myself. At my doctor's appointment, I did get weighed, and I am 3 pounds away from my pre-pregnancy weight, but that is nowhere near my pre-pregnancy body. I was super in shape before I had Aubrey, my first child, and then when I had her, I lost the weight really quickly, just like this time around, but I was able to get my body back pretty quick too. And by the time I was I think she was 4 months old when I got pregnant with Maverick, I had pretty much gotten my body back. My stomach obviously wasn't perfect, and I still had tons of stretch marks everywhere, but you know, I had gotten a little bit of muscle back, and was my cardiovascular and everything was just a lot more normal for me. Now this go around, I don't think it's going to be the same at all, because my body is completely different than it was when I had Aubrey. Even though I am back to pre-pregnancy weight and pre-pregnancy with Aubrey weight, I'm still not, I don't have nearly as much muscle, so I don't even consider it back to pre-pregnancy. I feel like I lost about 5 pounds of muscle, maybe. That's just a guess in my head because I know how I felt before, and I know what I could lift, and I know my muscle definition. So I'm guessing that I have about 5 more pounds to lose, and also I need to start lifting more. And for me, that is not hard to do. I love to lift, so going to the gym and doing that is no big deal. But moving on, while I was at the doctor's office, I did talk to them about a few different things, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk to you guys about this, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of women out there who experience the same things and the same problems, and might have the same questions. So I just want to let you guys know and talk to you guys about it, so if you do relate, then it might help you out a little bit. I'm going to start with the easy stuff first. So my bleeding completely stopped at 2 weeks postpartum, and I was like, great. Like, I did the same thing with Aubrey, didn't think anything of it. I was like, no problem. I've never been TMI, but I've never had like a heavy period. I've never, like, you know, when I had Aubrey, I didn't bleed for very long. So for me, 2 weeks postpartum, completely stopped bleeding. I thought it was completely normal, didn't worry about it. Thought, great, I'm lucky, right? But as the time went on, I would suddenly have like huge golf ball size, baseball size blood clots pass. And I would freak out because in the hospital they did tell me that if you did have these huge blood clots pass, then you needed to come back to the doctor immediately. So when I started having those, I would call my doctor, tell her what was going on, and she'd tell me everything was fine. After seeing her and talking to her, she would tell me everything was fine. And so yeah, I went with it. That was after the first one. Now I'll give you a little bit more detail. When I would pass these, it would be after I would have to lift my daughter, who is 21 pounds at the time. And I was lifting her. As you know, I have a 13-month-old and now 6-week-old. So when Aubrey was born, or when Maverick was born, Aubrey was like 11, 12 months. No, Aubrey was 12 months old. She turned a year old 5 days before Maverick was born. But anyways, so I had a 1-year-old, and I am a stay-at-home mom, and my husband didn't take off any time for work. So obviously I did have to lift, and we live on a 3-story home, so climbing up and down steps, it was just ridiculous. But I did notice that whenever I had to do more physical activity or lift her a few times, then that's when the blood clot would pass, and I would bleed for just about 5-10 minutes afterwards. Very heavy, like non-stop. I would just sit on the toilet and it would be like non-stop bleeding. And like I said, I went to the doctor and she told me everything was fine, just need to take it easy. Now this happened about 6 times, and it would happen for a while. It was happening every day, and then it went like 3 days in a row. It would only happen once a day, and then it's gradually like started going less and less. I was personally freaking out inside, even though my doctor did tell me it was okay. I felt like I was losing a ton of blood. For anyone who is having that same issue, I will tell you exactly what my doctor told me. Now, I'm not a professional. I'm just telling you my experience and what they told me. But and I still suggest you go speak to your doctor, because your situation could be different than mine was. But if you do have this problem, I suggest just stop doing the physical activity. Stop forcing yourself to pick up your child, or run up and down steps, or do anything way too physical for you. That's your body telling you that you are going too hard, so just take it easy. In my circumstance, I really didn't have a choice. I didn't have someone here at the house with me every day to help watch Aubrey or anything like that. I did have our parents who were willing to help for maybe an hour or two every so often, and that was a lot of help. But for everyday life, staying here at the house, I was solely responsible for taking care of Aubrey and Maverick with no help, and I did not have a choice of just slowing down or laying in bed and resting. Now, my husband was amazing with helping me when he could, when he was home, and over the weekends and stuff, he would watch Aubrey for me and let me rest with Maverick. But on during the week and stuff, it was hard. And if you're in that same situation, then I just tried to drink lots and lots of water, and for the most part, I trapped Aubrey upstairs in our playroom, and I would just sit and watch TV and play on a computer while she played in the playroom. I did not pick her up and swing her around or let her use me as a human jungle gym like she does every single day now. But I just tried to take it easy, and her being locked in the playroom, which, I mean, if you've seen any of my past videos, our playroom's a pretty large area, and where I sit, I can see the whole playroom. And we got a baby gate at the door, so she can't go anywhere, and she has a TV in there and fridge and all that, so she's fine. I mean, we can spend all day up there and not miss anything. I've started a big ramble on that subject only, but now moving on. Another thing I talked to her about was I was having some weird cramps in my left side of my stomach, and apparently that was just completely normal as well. It's just your body healing up. I don't remember having all of these like aches and pains when I had Aubrey, but with my second child, I tend to notice that I feel a lot more aches and pains. And it was the same during pregnancy too. My second pregnancy was a lot more difficult than my first as well. And if you heard that cracking noise, it's my chair. I don't know, it's squeaking. But she also talked to me about birth controls to go on. After we had Aubrey, we did not go on another birth control because we did plan on having Maverick. We didn't plan on trying to get pregnant again. So obviously we didn't go on another birth control. But this time I am going on birth control, and I am like full force ready and wanting it because I'm like, I need a year. My body needs a year. I need rest. My body needs rest before getting pregnant again. So I did choose to go on the IUD. And I can't remember exactly which one I chose. I kept the pamphlet to tell you about it, but I think Aubrey found it and chewed it up because it was in my notebook and now it's not. And she has a tendency to grab paper and she rips it up and tries to eat it and it ends up in the trash. But I do plan on getting the IUD, and I will get that in 2 weeks, and I'm super excited about it because apparently it's something that you don't have to think about. It doesn't make you gain weight, and it won't affect my hormones, I guess, too much. I don't really know the scientific side of it, but she told me that anytime I did decide that we do want to have another baby, you just call and make an appointment and they take it out for you and you'll be able to get pregnant the next day. So that was a big thing for me, is I want to be able to get pregnant as soon as I want to or at least try to start getting pregnant. And I just don't want all those hormones in my body that make you break out and make your mood change. I didn't want anything that made me crazy, basically. The last thing I talked to my doctor about was something a little less fun. I have noticed since having Maverick, probably about 2 weeks postpartum, that my mood is not what it used to be. With Aubrey, I didn't have any of these issues. I was perfectly fine after having her. But with Maverick, I noticed that my mood towards my husband had changed. My mood towards just things that used to make me happy was changed. So I did end up being diagnosed with postpartum depression. And this is really hard for me to talk about with you guys, but I want you to know, because my mood might not have seemed too great in some videos, or I mean, if you're experiencing the same thing, I don't want you to be embarrassed by it, and so I don't want to hide it because I don't want y'all to think I'm embarrassed by it. Sometimes I just think there's some things that should be kept private, but like I said, I just want y'all to relate to me, or if y'all have the same issues, I want you to know that you're not alone. Moving on, so I did have the signs of having postpartum depression, and she did give me something. I had a really hard time deciding whether or not to start on any medications or just waiting it out and seeing if it would get better by itself. I waited about 2 weeks before even talking to my doctor about it, but for me, it's a hard decision on getting the medicine, because even though they say it doesn't affect breastfeeding any, I have had a history. Like I said, I have had a history of having issues with breastfeeding, and I also don't want to be putting anything in my body that might affect my child in the long run, and not knowing how it's going to affect myself. But after long talks with my husband and lots of thinking by myself, I did decide to get put on the medicine, and it seems to be doing a little bit better. I mean, I don't know yet. She said it takes 2 weeks to even start seeing a change, and then after that you have to stay on it for 6 months, and that is crazy to me. She said she suggests staying on it for 6 months and then stopping to see if you feel any better, but it's not something you can just stop one day. You have to gradually start slowing down on it. I did get put on it, and hopefully in just a few weeks I'll start seeing a difference, and maybe my husband will be a happier man. I'm sure he is tired of me just being blah all the time. But luckily he has been extremely supportive, like more supportive than I think most men would be. He's been trying his best to be understanding and help me out the best way he can. But he has a hard time understanding it, like, I don't know. I have a hard time understanding me. But he's been doing great, and I just love him to death for that. Now, postpartum affects people differently, everyone differently. Some people just can't get out of bed, and then some people can't go to bed, and that's how I was. I was not able to sleep at night. I wasn't able to find happiness in things. Chad would buy me roses, or he bought me edible arrangements one day, and I was just like, thanks. I mean, I was appreciative of it, but I just didn't feel that joy that I used to get from it. So those are the signs that I had. But moving on, let's get to more upbeat things. Well, not necessarily upbeat, but a little bit better. I was diagnosed with mastitis. I was diagnosed with mastitis at about 3 weeks postpartum in my right breast. And sorry, but for any of you who don't know what that is, it's basically just a clogged milk duct that gets infected, and it is extremely painful. I got this when we went to Gatlinburg. Actually, like a day before we went to Gatlinburg, I called and made an appointment because I knew something wasn't right, and I was pretty sure it was mastitis, and I had heard that it makes you extremely sick. So I called ahead of time and was like, I just want to put on the medicine before it gets bad. Well, that day, actually, I was driving home, and all of a sudden I felt an overwhelming just feeling. I was hot. I had those cold sweats, I guess that's what it's called. I had that, and then that day we left for Gatlinburg, which is about 4 hours away from us. And being in a car for 4 hours with heat sweats, and I literally felt like I had the flu. It was terrible. My boob hurt, and worst experience ever. But I really wanted to go to Gatlinburg. I had never been, so I didn't want to back out of the trip. But after a few days of taking the medicine, I think it was our last day in Gatlinburg when I did finally start feeling better, which kind of sucks, but I pushed through, and we still had a great time. But for any of you who have any soreness in your breast, not the nipple area, but like the outside, and if you have red streaks going through your breast, then it's something definitely to look out for and to talk to your doctor about. My signs, I woke up or I thought I just had a clogged milk duct, so I got in a shower, and then by the next morning I had the red streaks, and it was even more painful. So that's when I knew something was wrong. But if it gets too bad, then you do get these flu-like symptoms, and it is the worst experience ever. Now I'm going to give you Maverick's 6-week update. I was going to do a whole nother video on this, but I decided not to, just because he's only 6 weeks old and there's not really too much to update you on. When Maverick was born, he was 6 pounds 7 ounces, and I could not tell you what he weighs today. He has not yet been to a doctor since he was like 3 weeks old, I think, 3 or 4 weeks old, and because they plan it for his next doctor's appointment will be at 8 weeks old, and I'll update y'all on that later on. But right now I do not know what he weighs, so I'm sorry about that. I do know when he was born, he wore size preemies for the first week to 2 weeks of his life, and then he went into newborns up until 5 weeks old. Now he's in size 0 to 3 months, and to me he's like such a big baby now, and I love it. I can't wait to see how much he weighs and how much he has grown since being born. He does have a lot of issues with congestion and spitting up, and I think that's because he might have a milk allergy, and so I am trying to cut out all my dairy in my diet, which is very, very difficult to do. If any of y'all have ever done that, it's so hard. But his congestion issue, you could just hear it in his breathing, and I have to suck out his nose about 3 or 4 times a day with saline drops and the little nose sucker that they gave me at the hospital. And we do have that nose sucker that you do yourself, but I just really think it's gross. I know none of the boogers actually get in your mouth. I know all that. I know it's got the filter, but just personally, I get nauseous just seeing it in the nose sucker, like when I clean out the nose sucker. The spitting up issue is what we think is a mix between the congestion and the milk allergy. But he spits up about 2 or 3 times a day, but it doesn't seem to be affecting his growing any. I guess we will see at his next appointment whether it's affecting his weight, but personally I just don't think it's making him lose any weight because he's growing really, really quickly. He started keeping his eyes open a lot more at about 3 weeks old, so now he stays awake for a good hour, 2 hours before falling back asleep. He does not sleep through the night. He wakes up every 2 hours on the dot to eat. And yes, that is very hard on me, but I do not mind at all. I love cuddling with him, and I do need rest sometimes, but he's such a good baby that I don't really mind too much. I kind of missed it with Aubrey. Aubrey started sleeping through the night really quickly, and I thought I was so lucky and everything. And then now I'm like, I wish I could have cuddled her a little bit longer, and like, it's just not a big deal to me anymore. I appreciate the time I get to spend with him more now that Aubrey's grown up, and I realize you don't always get those cuddles after after they get old enough, they don't really want to cuddle anymore. Maverick does have really bad gas. Really bad gas. Like, my child, he farts so much, it's crazy. And you always think he's pooping, but no, he's just farting really, really bad. And very, very often, but it's okay. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!